Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alicia Gogan. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe because you might not be subscribed yet. Today, we need to talk. We need to talk about how you can stay in shape without strict dieting and time-consuming workouts. Now, why is it that I want to talk about this subject? Well, because I personally think I am very healthy and very fit, and I don't do a lot. And I used to be somebody who counted calories, strictly dieted, spent so much time at the gym, was consumed with fitness and health. And it actually got to the point where I ended up having a very unhealthy relationship with food. I was chronically stressed. I had chronic illness. I didn't have a good body image. I was doing so much and I wasn't even getting that many results. Fast forward to many years and everything that I've learned, I am somebody who stays in shape, has a great body, and doesn't have to do a lot. So I wanna give you my best mindset shifts, things that I do for fitness and things that I do for diet and lifestyle to help you live a life where you can feel like you're still in shape, you're getting in shape, you're taking care of your health, but you're not consumed and you don't feel like you have to do all of this counting calories and just being under the shackles of the fitness industry, because that is just not the life that we want to live. I don't think so. Okay, so before we get into all of the tips and all the things that I have done over the years and what I have learned, I just want to say this is my own advice. These are my own tips. This is my own journey. These tips are not the end all be all. I'm sure that there's other people out there who might stay in shape and maintain either their weight or their health or whatever by doing less in different ways. But this is just what I find works for me, and this is what I live by. So if you guys are not new on my channel, then you will know that I always like to focus on mindset before I like to address anything to do with habits or my day-to-day routine. So I want to talk about 3 mindset shifts that allowed me to honestly be able to stay in shape without strict dieting and consuming workouts. So number 1 is detaching healthy habits and a wellness lifestyle from appearance. And I think that this was such a big issue for me, especially when I first went on my fitness and health journey at age, honestly, 16 years old. I only tried to work out, I only tried to diet, count calories, do all of this fitness and health lifestyle because I wanted to change my body. I wanted my body to look good. Now, I'm not saying that we can't care about how we look. Of course, we all wanna have that nice body. But what I found was only having the motivation to do healthy behaviors like eating well and moving my body from this place of, is this gonna change my body, really never worked. And one thing I really had to work on was the driver as to why I cared only about taking care of myself for appearance. Because at the end of the day, living a healthy lifestyle in general over a long period of time, you tend to have a nicer body. Everyone's body is different, everyone looks different, of course, but in general, like the reason why a lot of the times we are in a place where we feel like we need to, diet or work out is because we haven't been taking care of ourselves. And so step 2 is really getting to my root cause. Why was it that I was emotionally eating, binge eating, not taking care of myself, not moving my body? Why was it so hard for me to take care of my health and wellness? Why was my self-worth only dependent on whether my body looked like everyone else's on Instagram? I had to get to that root. And I think that if you are somebody who has not gotten to that root as to why you are so attached to having a certain body or a certain shape, I would highly suggest you go to the root. Now, a lot of people want to skip this step, and I skipped this step for many years. I didn't really care. I wanted a nicer body. I wanted to look a certain way. But the problem with you only using health and wellness and just this whole entire lifestyle to change the way that you look is that you tend to start and stop things. You tend to go all or nothing because you're putting yourself under these rules, these regulations for a certain amount of time until you get this result. Don't we want to have a nice body all the time? Don't we want to feel energized all the time? Don't we want to be moving our bodies all the time? Now, what I found on my journey is there was technically 2 parts of me that were actually in very big conflict. Now, I talk a lot about this in my book. My book is called The Ultimate Glow Up Guide, a guide to self-growth, self-care, and becoming the best version of you. And I talk about my incessive need and drive to want to have a certain type of body and look a certain way, but also my tendencies to always self-sabotage the healthy behaviors that got in the way of me wanting to get a better body. So because my self-worth was only rooted in how I looked and my appearance, I wanted to feel good about myself, so I would do strict dieting and really hard workouts as quickly as possible so that I could get that result as quickly as possible, so that I could feel better about myself as quickly as possible. But when you do things to the extremes, what happens? When you try and, cut all your calories or strictly diet or obsess over food, what tends to happen? You fall off because it's too strict, or you get into an unhealthy relationship with food, which is what I did. You become tormented in your own mind. It becomes way too strict. This is not to say that health and wellness is not a great thing, but when your self-worth is only residing on how it is that my body is going to look, and I'm not going to live my life until I have a bikini body, this now becomes a problem. You taking care of yourself only becomes a means to an end. So once I worked on my self-worth, realizing, okay, I don't need to have this stunning Instagram body to feel worthy and to have people like me or to have friends or to love myself. Let me learn how to love myself through the process. I can still work on healthy habits, but I can't be holding back and not living my life because I don't have this bikini body. What does it even mean to have this bikini body? Why do I feel like I have to, why is everything tied into my appearance? I had to really deconstruct my beliefs about myself. That really helped me kind of fall back on the counting the calories and I have to be skinny by summer, that thing. But there was still another issue that I was having because, okay, I kind of fell back. I realized that counting calories, fad dieting, all that stuff wasn't really working, and I was tired. I was tired of always having that consume my life, but I still wanted to take care of myself. But then I found that there were still parts of me that wouldn't get up and take care of myself outside of the appearance. Why was that? Why wasn't I taking care of myself? And on top of that, I tended to emotionally eat. I loved candy. I would not be able to just eat one cookie. I would eat the whole entire thing. What was going on there? What I realized is I also had this emotional part of me, okay? So this is a different part of me where anytime that I got overwhelmed in life, I went through a lot of traumas in my life that weren't healed. I needed to regulate my emotions, and the way that I did that was through food. So anytime that I felt low self-worth, or anytime that I felt like I was failing, anytime life felt too much to handle, I would go to food, and then I would binge eat, and then I would start again on Monday, and I went through that entire cycle until I realized, okay, my inner child learned how to emotionally regulate through food, and she still thinks that doing these things are what's keeping her safe, but of course we know that's not keeping us safe. But my inner child does not know this. Once I got to the root of these two parts of me, things completely changed. But a lot of the times, we're not even aware of our root, of our why. Why do I not feel worthy only if I have this body? Is it school? Is it the people around me? Is it my environment? Am I looking at certain things online? Is it my parents? And on top of that, emotionally, how often am I using food to cope? And what am I coping with? Once you get to the root, I promise you, things become a lot easier. The things that I'm gonna talk about and the tips that I live by now, it becomes so much easier and natural for me to live this life and take care of myself once I got to the root. Now, I talk about all of this, like I said, in my book, The Ultimate Glow Up Guide. This is a physical copy. Not only in this book do I bring you through my process since I was 16 years old, all the cycles and the unhealthy relationship with food that I had, the chronic illness that I had, all of these trials and tribulations and how I got out of them, how I got out of this self-sabotaging behavior, how I learned how to reparent that inner child that really wanted to self-soothe. I talk about it all in my book, and on top of that, in my book, it's a journal guide. So you will actually be able to see some prompts to help you get through some of your core wounds that you might be going through, and you can write in the actual book. So I'd highly suggest you take a look. This book is being released January 30th. All the information will be down below. You can get on Amazon, Chapters, wherever you get your books. You can pre-order it now. If you pre-order this book, you will get my free shadow work journal prompt discovery guide, which actually helps you with getting to the root of some of your insecurities, which tend to fall on that self-worth side, so you can start working on that now. So many of you guys have already pre-ordered. I cannot wait for you to get this book, but this book is truly a reflection of everything that I've learned that allows me to be able to look fit, feel fit, be healthy, take care of myself in a way that is not under this rule and regulation and all of that stuff that we know does not work anymore. Now, the last thing when it comes to mindset, which I talk about this in my book as well, that is dropping perfectionism. I started to realize that doing this all or nothing behavior, let's say I had one cookie, and because I had that one cookie, I said, oh my God, you know what, screw it, I'll start again on Monday because I'm not perfect. Like, that mindset, that behavior does not work. There's no such thing as perfect anyways. It doesn't do anything but keep you stuck and get you into these cycles, which over time, when you're not consistent, of course, you're not going to have any result. And especially when it comes to diet and gym, this is something that has transformed the way that I am able to look and feel, because I no longer have a perfectionist mindset. I no longer have strict rules. It's not gonna be the end of the world if I have something that's out of my diet or out of the parameters in which I like to put myself in. So once I detached healthy behaviors from appearance, and also understanding that when you take care of yourself consistently over time, naturally your body will be a result of that. Truly getting to the deeper root as to why I even got in this place in the first place, and dropping perfectionism really allowed me to look at fitness and health and dieting and lifestyle in a new way. So let's talk about the 4 core things that I do for my fitness routines and that allow me to really be in shape and feel really good about my body consistently. But one thing I want to say, when it comes to anything to do with fitness or dieting, anything, what the most important thing is, in my personal opinion, is consistency. Consistency, let's say over a year. How frequently and consistent are you being with taking care of yourself? Because if you're going to the gym or moving your body or eating healthy, whatever that looks for you, but you're only doing that 3 weeks every 3 months, of course you're not going to maintain anything. You're not gonna feel like you're in shape. You're not gonna feel healthy. So with everything in my life, I wanna focus on consistency. So these are some of the things that allow me to be consistent over time to see results. So the first thing that I do is I indulge in different types of movement on a week-to-week basis. So for me, I have a main fitness regimen that I like to follow because I have certain goals in the gym, like building muscle and maintaining muscle. And I personally think it makes my body look amazing. But I don't only just prioritize weight training. I think what you do outside of the gym really does matter as well. So I make sure to have different types of movement on a frequent basis. I'm doing lots of hot girl walks. I'm going to Pilates. I'm doing spin classes with my friends. I'm doing at-home workouts. I'm stretching. But on top of that, I'm cleaning my place regularly. I'm walking most places instead of taking Ubers. There's so many things outside of you, let's say, just like focusing on weight training or whatever your main fitness regimen is, that can definitely affect your body. I remember when I was in college and I was like super hyper focused on weight training because like I wanted to have this certain body, but I literally was so lazy outside of the gym. I would never move. I never wanted to do walks. I never spent any time with like friends, family, doing anything activity wise. Like I was actually very sedentary outside of doing my one workout. Now, it's not to say that you could never get results just doing like, let's say like one thing at the gym, but the way that I'm able to maintain my body without worrying about micromanaging my food or micromanaging even my workouts, because not every single day that I get into the gym and I do these like crazy workouts, I do not do that, is what I do outside of the gym. And even this past year, the body that I currently have was really built off of 2 days in the gym and lots of walks and lots of movement and activity outside. So do not underestimate the power of what it is that you're doing outside of the gym. And a good rule of thumb that I have for myself is if I'm going to the gym or if I have a set workout, my goal is to do one thing that is outside of that regimented workout that day. So that is a hot girl walk. That is doing something inside, maybe like a stretch routine or something, moving my body or cleaning my space. I love to clean my space. Cleaning your space, honestly, is such great movement. And if I'm not going to the gym, if I don't have a specific workout that I'm doing that day, I will make sure that I'm moving at least twice. So one walk in the morning, one walk at night. The next thing that I do, and this has to do with my planned workouts, is to stop changing movements so frequently. So I think, depending on whatever it is that you want to do when it comes to your workouts, I think if you're a Pilates girl, if you're a yoga girl, if you are a runner, if you are a spinner, if you are a weight trainer, whatever it is, I think, again, coming back to consistency is the most important thing. For me, I like to weight train. And right now I do 3 workouts a week at the gym, 2 leg days and 1 upper body day. I also do 1 Pilates reformer class, and the rest of the days I'm doing lots of walks. Sometimes I go to spin class, this, that. But I'm just gonna like bring the focus back to what I do for the 3 days that I'm in the gym. And honestly, I'm gonna take out 1 day and we're just gonna focus on the 2 days, because the 2 days have honestly just been the most consistent throughout the year, and I'm only adding the 3rd one in. So I'm just gonna bring it back to the 2 days. 2 days might not seem like a lot, but the reason why I've gotten so much results in the gym, whether it's my legs, my upper body, my everything, is because I'm focusing on compound movements. And if you don't know what compound movements are, these movements are using a lot of different muscles in your body. So for instance, doing a deadlift, yes, it works your hamstrings, it works your glutes, it works your quads, it works some of that lower back, but it also uses your core strength and your arm strength. That's essentially a full body workout there. Same thing with squats, same thing with overhead presses. These movements over time can really get you a lot of results without spending a ton of time in the gym. And when it comes to not having time-consuming workouts, which I think nobody really wants, like I don't want to spend hours at the gym. I got good at focusing on compound movements that were going to work all of the muscles that I really wanted to work, which was really a full body. And I focused on working on my reps and my sets versus switching out every single exercise every other week. This is something that I used to do a lot in college, and I did this because I wanted to get every single muscle group because I wanted the body and I wanted it quickly, and I was not seeing results, so I would switch something every 2 weeks. But that created so much more time in the gym because I would be doing squats, and then I would do deadlifts, and I would do hip thrusts, but then I would do cable kickbacks, and then I would do split squats, and then I would do single leg deadlifts. I would do all these single leg things and all of this isolation movement. And this is not to mean that these movements don't have a time and a place, but if you stick to compound movements and you focus on working on your reps and your sets, you're gonna be way better off, and you're gonna find lots of results by, again, being consistent, right? Because again, when we want to see results in our lives, we want to be consistent. And you can be consistent at the gym by adding all these isolation movements in and this, that. But if you're constantly changing things, of course you're not going to see results. Now, when it comes to weight training, I think that this is such a great type of movement when it comes to fitness, because it is allowing you to build up strength and muscle within yourself. And muscle not only burns more calories at rest than fat does, which is not something that I'm trying to promote because I don't focus on calories, but it does help me be able to eat a little bit more without worrying about gaining too much of that fat on my body because I have a lot of muscle. But in general, it does allow your body to look very toned and very fit. But again, you do not have to do weightlifting to be fit, to be into shape, to feel really good. Consistency is the most important thing, but if you want to save time at the gym, stick to compound movements, stick to things that work, and be consistent with that. You can move your rep ranges and your weights a little bit, but that's so much better than you, again, switching up every workout every single second. Now, if you are somebody who is struggling with understanding whether you should do weight training or if you should do cardio or like whatever it is, what type of movement, then I would suggest getting the book, The Resistance Training Revolution, and I will have it down below. It's such a great book to understand why it's actually very important for us to build muscle in our bodies, even if you are somebody who wants to maybe lose a little bit of weight. So I basically already told you what my workout split is. It definitely depends on other things that I'm going to talk about. Technically, I have 2 leg days, and usually I do deadlifts and hip thrusts on one day, and then on the other day I do hip thrusts and single leg Bulgarian split squats. And I usually focus on these movements for about a quarter of the year, so like 3 months, and I will work on my rep range and I will add more weight, and I'm only doing those movements. I am not adding in any other things. Obviously I do other things, like I do Pilates classes and I'm now doing upper body, things like that, to like train the rest of my body, but I just mean for my leg days, I'm really only switching between those two. And it might seem very minimal, but I do 5 sets of each movement, and then I do a rep range depending on how much weight I am lifting. But I focus on range of motion. I focus on doing the movement correctly. I also focus on making sure that I'm doing a proper warm up and a proper cool down, and making sure that my body is completely primed. And doing this allows me to get in and out of the gym within 30 to 45 minutes. I don't like my workouts going any longer than that. It doesn't need to be like that. So to sum it up, make it simple, make it attainable, and do something that you're gonna be consistent over time with. I promise you, I've gotten way better results, especially in my legs, than I ever did doing like 4 leg days or 4 to 5 full body days, whatever freaking days that I did in college, doing all these types of isolation movements, switching up my workouts and hyper focusing on them. I promise you, this is so much better. Now, the next thing that I do for fitness that really helps me stay in shape is romanticizing my fitness goals and in general, fitness. I make it enjoyable. I have playlists, which by the way, I have all my playlists down below on Spotify. I have house music, I have rap aesthetic, I have country music, I have all the freaking playlists that you ever need, I swear. Some of them, like I have a hood girl playlist, like just, I don't know, beware. If you don't like that kind of music, then that's totally fine. But I like to really channel this energy of like, I'm being a fitness girl. For me, I love the weight training vibes. I like the hood music. I like this, whatever it is. But I just think that fitness, especially when we have certain goals outside of like, let's say the cleaning and the hot girl walks and the Pilates classes here and there, whatever, especially for weight training, I just think it's so much more fun when you actually enjoy it. Now, these workouts can be hard, but it's less hard when you have that playlist, when you have your favorite workout set. I love my workout sets from Buff Bunny. I will have all of them linked down below. You get your headphones in, you have a cute water bottle, you have a gym bag. Really enjoying the process and getting into the identity, I feel like helps me not feel so resistant, because I'm kind of looking forward to it. Like I'm looking forward to my pre-gym playlist and getting hyped up before I go to the gym. So whatever it is that you do, romanticize it, get into that identity. And the last thing that's really helped me stay consistent and stay in shape is focusing on recovery. This is another thing I used to do a lot in college, which ended up making me start and stop things. And then over time, of course, I wasn't getting those results because I wasn't consistent. I wasn't prioritizing recovery. So not only was I not priming my body and having a really good warm up in the beginning, whether that is my weight training or even like walking to Pilates, whatever it is, like preventing injury, all that kind of stuff. But I would go way too hard at the gym. I would lift so much weight because again, I'm like needing this result super quickly. I'm adding in all of these workouts to the point where I was super sore, and then I wasn't able to go to the gym a few days later because I was so sore. But on top of that, I wasn't even spending time recovering when I was sore. I wasn't stretching enough. I wasn't moving my body even outside of the gym, bringing it back to the fact that I used to only just like go to the gym and like do weight training, but then I would be lazy at home. Like doing hot girl walks and cleaning and moving around and doing these things allows your body to actually recover. Also, sleep is super important, and obviously nourishing your body, which we're gonna talk about when it comes to diet, but focusing on recovery is so important to keep you consistent. So again, I make sure that I'm not overdoing it at the gym because I know that not overdoing it will allow me to actually be more consistent in the gym because I'm not gonna be so sore. But also prioritizing sleep and also prioritizing rest days, and also just de-stressing the body, stretching the body, really again, recovering the body, because recovering your body is gonna allow you to be consistent and healthy and even in shape. Okay, I'm gonna try and speed up the tips because you guys know I talk way too long about everything. So let's talk about diet. I feel like I have like 6 core things that I've kind of lived by that help me just stay in shape and be really healthy without having to count calories or obsess over food. Now, again, I want to reiterate this. I really worked on my mental health to be able to get to a point where I was able to not hyper focus on food. So that's where I'm at right now. I have a pretty stable mental health. Not saying that people who diet don't have like good mental health, but I really went to the root, like I said. It really helped me be able to live by these lifestyle things, I guess, lifestyle changes. But I will say I like to focus on balancing my hormones, especially as a woman. I do think the way that I eat helps with balancing my hormones, and when my hormones are balanced, I don't have crazy cravings, I'm not holding on to a lot of fat, and I have a lot of energy and my body looks great. So that's just like what I like to focus on, more of the health aspects of things, which in result just allows me to have a nicer body. And also, I'm not saying like I have the nicest body, I'm just saying like I'm happy with my body. So the first thing that I do when it comes to my diet, when I mean diet, I honestly just mean how I eat. And I think that everyone is gonna have different types of diets that work for them. So I just never think that there's just one size fits all. Like there's people who like vegan, people who like eating Mediterranean, people who like eating more animal products, like whatever. I am very much so more of the higher protein animal product food girly, but I focus on more high quality if I can. I'm not perfect with it, but that's just kind of like the type of diet that I eat. But I always prioritize protein. I don't count, but I always make sure when I'm eating my meals, does this have a lot of protein in it? I utilize protein powders in my smoothies if I need to, or if I have proteins, like morning oatmeal with protein in it. I eat a lot of steak, salmon, chicken quesadillas, like whatever it is that I'm eating, even snacks, I'll have like beef jerky. Whatever it is that I'm eating, I really try and focus on prioritizing protein. Protein really helps keep me satiated for longer, so I feel like not like I'm ravenously wanting to eat more food in like an hour. Protein, of course, helps me with muscle building when it comes to weight training in the gym. And if I don't prioritize protein, and let's say I only have meals that are just like very carb heavy. I'm not afraid of carbs. I eat carbs, that's totally fine. But if I just have a meal that has lots of carbs but no protein and maybe not even a lot of fat, the carbs, it's not necessarily about, oh my God, it's gonna like get me so fat, because depending on whatever else you're eating, if you're moving, like maybe not. But in general, there's not a lot of nutritional value from just eating a bunch of food with just plain carbs, because carbs will spike your blood sugar. Even if it is slow digesting carbs, it's gonna spike your blood sugar a little bit more. And when you have higher spikes of blood sugar over time, it messes with your hormones. It doesn't keep you satiated for longer. You're wanting to crave more food. And then of course, like that tends to lead you to overeating. It just tends to maybe not help you in the gym, whatever it is. So again, I do not demonize carbs. I have lots of carbs with my protein, even with fat. Like I eat a range of balanced meals, but I just make sure my meals are balanced, and I really do focus on protein first. Now, to piggyback off of this, I am aware of things that I eat. So of course, like prioritizing protein, but another thing that I'm aware of is things that have a high sugar count. Again, this is more so, I don't want to spike my blood sugar so high all throughout the day where I'm constantly wanting to eat more. That's what happens when you eat a lot of sugar in a short amount of time, especially if there's no fiber, if there's no protein or fat. You're gonna digest it really quickly, it's gonna spike your blood sugar, and that's where you crash and you feel really low energy, and then you want to crave more sugar to bring up your energy. So I want to have sustainable energy throughout the day, and I want to feel good. And of course, like eating a lot of like sugary foods doesn't really make me feel good. It's not about demonizing sugar foods. I love my ice cream, I love my chocolate. It's not about that. It's just about how do I want to feel throughout the day. So some of the things that I tend to do when it comes to making sure that I'm not having like super high like sugary foods is, if I have smoothies, I tend to go for berries because they have lower sugar counts. If I'm having coffee, if I'm going to a coffee shop, I'll ask them to cut the sugar amount and give me like 1 pump of syrup instead of 4, because who the frick needs 4 like pumps of sugar, like regardless of if you're like trying to maintain anything or whatever, it's just too much for me. I don't even like the taste of it. So I usually will ask for like less sugar. If I do want any sorts of sweets in my place, I usually will tend to pair that with something that's not gonna spike my blood sugar. So let's say I make sure to have dinner, like a steak with my Greek salad, and then I will have dinner after that, or I'll make sure to eat something before I have like ice cream if I haven't ate anything all day, again, to avoid those sugar cravings and those crashes. It just doesn't make me feel good when I eat like that. When it comes to sweets, usually I'll tend to have some dark chocolate. Maybe I'll even pair it with almonds to have a healthy source of fat. Dark chocolate usually tends to have a lower sugar count, but also on top of that, pairing it with like, let's say something like fat will allow me to feel more full and more satiated. And so I'm not like overeating a bunch of food that I don't need. And I do these small switches because realistically, the more that I train myself to not have like a hyper palatable palate and like crave these high sweet foods, I tend to crave them less. Now, one thing that I'm gonna say is I really struggled with sugar cravings. It was the biggest thing that I had to overcome in my life. And the only thing that actually allowed me to not only binge eat, but constantly crave a lot of sugar, and I used to be somebody who only cared about eating sugar, was to work on that emotional tie that I had to sugar. Nothing ever worked. I used to follow diets where it was like low sugar or like, you know, sugar-free this and that, but I never really got to the root until I did that internal work. So I just wanna say that because I understand sometimes it can be hard to like listen to people say like, you know, choose less sugar and, you know, focus on having balanced meals. If you tend to have that drive to sugar, sometimes what's going on is that emotional toll. And a lot of the times it's because your nervous system is very stressed. And when you are stressed, you tend to want to regulate your nervous system by going for things such as sugar. But I will talk about nervous system regulation a little bit later in lifestyle. Another thing that I do, which I kind of already said, is I really do focus on having balanced meals to keep me satiated and fuller for longer. So I'm not overeating or like binge eating. Some of the times when I overeat, it's usually because I don't have protein or I don't have a good source of fat in my food and I'm eating like lots of carbs, or even if I'm just having protein, sometimes I need those carbs to like really fill me up and feel like I'm actually like eating something, you know? But also what I do is I like to eat before I have coffee or before I have any sort of like snacky things or things that don't have high nutritional value, because for me personally, again, I want to focus on having balanced meals to balance my hormones. But even when it comes to weight training and making sure that I prioritize protein, if I'm drinking coffee in the morning and I'm drinking a second cup during the day, it tends to be able to push my appetite for longer throughout the day, and then I don't want to eat, which I actually don't want. I actually want to be fueled in eating because, you know, I've gone through those periods of time where it's just like I intermittent fasted or I like pushed off my meals, and for a moment that can help in some senses to, you know, maybe lose weight, but I want to have a very healthy appetite, and ruining my appetite and my metabolism by drinking coffee and pushing things off doesn't actually help me. It doesn't help me with my hormones as a woman, and it never actually got me anywhere anyways. So that's what I just do. I make sure to have full meals, and I do my best to prioritize nutritional meals before I indulge in my coffee or any sort of sweets, anything like that. Another thing that I do is I actually allow myself to eat foods that I enjoy. So when I was in college and I was really into fitness and like counting calories and macros and things like that, I didn't really enjoy the food that I was eating. I would eat a lot of chicken and broccoli and rice, like plain foods. Like I would prioritize protein, but it was like not things that I really enjoyed and I looked forward to. So I eat meals at home that are really good. Or even if I go out, I'm eating meals that I actually enjoy. And there's so many meals that you can make that are really good for you and that you enjoy. So don't limit yourself to boring meals. Find the meals that you love to eat and make them even your own, right? Like if you are a pasta girl, all right, how can you make pasta at home where it has a higher protein count? Are you adding meatballs in it? Are you adding chicken? Are you doing like a quesadilla? Maybe you love quesadillas or more of those like burrito bowls or like things like that. But Do you have protein? Do you have healthy fats? Do you have vegetables in those meals? Like, choose the vegetables that you like and not the vegetables that you're just telling yourself to eat. And I just think that this helps for you not to feel deprived, because once you're deprived and you feel like you're really restricted, what ends up happening, you binge eat. You really want those foods outside of this diet that you're telling yourself that you can't have. Now, another thing that I do that really helps me stay healthy and fit is cooking at home. I cook a lot of meals at home. And I actually learned this in school. I took so many things in school, but one of the things that I did was workplace wellness and health promotion. And I also was certified personal trainer, health coach, all that kind of stuff. So I've done a lot of schooling around this stuff, but I just always remember the statistic of, and this could be a little bit different now, but they said on average, just by you simply making your meals at home, and we're not even talking about like, it has to be super clean or healthy, you making your meals at home instead of eating out every single day saves you on average 500 calories. Again, we're not here to save calories. I do not care about that, but it just like, it is very true that, you know, you tend to eat less and you tend to eat right when you do make your meals at home, because there's not a lot of additives, there's not a lot of sodium, there's not a lot of heavy sugars. Again, when I go to a coffee shop and I'm asking for a mocha, if you ask, literally, if you go to any coffee shop and you just ask, how many pumps of sugar do you guys put in the mocha? Literally, it's usually like 4 pumps of the syrup and then 4 pumps of peppermint. That has a lot of sugar in it that's not needed. And if you continue to drink those drinks every single day, your body's gonna get used to craving that. So when I go out, I make sure, hey, realistically, I would not put 4 to 8 pumps of freaking syrup in my thing at home. I don't do that at home. So when I go out, I kind of try and like use the same, not rules, I don't like to use rules, but whatever, outside of my home. But I like to cook a lot of my meals at home. And also it helps you save on money. Like, genuinely, you stopping at a coffee shop to get a breakfast bagel, you could totally make it at home so much cheaper, so much better for you. And all you have to do is plan like 10 minutes ahead to make that. And I know that being someone who's an influencer now, I have more time, but I used to be a bartender and a server, and I had a 9 to 5, and I managed my social media. So I understand the importance of getting like quick meals in, but there are definitely ways. You just need to manage your time a little bit more. Now, I think one thing that helps me when I am shopping is shopping in the parameters, like the outsides of a grocery store. That's like the only thing that I think about, which I don't think about anymore because it's very, very normal. But just shopping on the outside of the grocery store can really kind of like save you any sort of calories and just keep you healthy, because what's on the outside of the parameters of a grocery store is all of the greens, all the things that are less processed, lots of meat, less processed foods, and then in the middle of the grocery stores is where you have all your packaged stuffs. This is not to say that you can't go in the middle of the grocery store and like get your stuff. I do that too, but I don't tend to spend a lot of time buying packaged things, because packaged things usually have higher processed foods, just not good quality ingredients, regardless if it has high sugar counts or high sodium, whatever. Just a lot of things that tend to make you want to overeat naturally. So I stay technically just like around the grocery store. I get my greens, I'll have breads, I'll have all that kind of stuff, and I just focus on getting those high protein foods. Now, because I don't usually tend to eat a lot of packaged foods, I don't have to look at any sort of like back of ingredient, like calorie, things like that. I don't suggest you focus on that anyways, because calories can mean so many different things. But if I do have a packaged something, if I want to, which is like, again, quite rare, I will look at the ingredient list. If it has a huge long list, I don't get it, because honestly, it's just not worth my money, my return on my investment. I am, spending my money on crappy ingredients and putting it in my body when I can make something that's more fresh at home. Not gonna do it. But sometimes what I will look at is the protein count and maybe like the sugar count. Like if it has like 40 grams of sugar and like 3 grams of protein and a whole list of ingredients, not good for my body. I don't need it. I don't want it. Let me learn how to make something at home. So I tend, if I buy things that do have those ingredients and I have to look, I do focus on minimal ingredients. And I'll give you an example of Greek yogurt. I love to have Greek yogurt. I use Greek yogurt as a spread on my tortillas and my wraps, or in like Mexican bowls. I will use that in my smoothie. I will use that as a yogurt bowl, but I will get plain Greek yogurt. I don't get the vanilla. I don't get the flavored stuff. Personally, just not needed. But what I do to sweeten it, this is really only for my Greek yogurt bowls, is I'll add a little bit of honey in it. Just honey. Honey, yes, it's sugar, and yes, it can spike the blood sugar, so we wanna see what we're adding into it. Again, we're not demonizing sugar realistically, but in my personal opinion, in terms of an ingredient standpoint, I would much rather have something that's plain and add one ingredient instead of 5,000 of these artificial flavors. Don't want it. Now, let's talk about lifestyle. And I think lifestyle really plays a huge role in why it is that I have been able to just be in shape without doing a lot when it comes to dieting, not hyper focusing on things, and not even working out that much. Like, again, there's so many times where, you know, I can't get into the gym this day, this, that, but I'm still maintaining a very, very nice body. And the first thing is getting busy with life. I look back at so many times in my life as to when it was I was like binge eating and eating a lot and like, you know, putting on the pounds, which, you know, life happens, things happen. Yes, on one hand, I had a lot of mental health issues that I really needed to work on that really kind of like always drove me into those binge eating cycles and this, that. But a lot of the times I wasn't busy with life. I didn't have a passion. I didn't have any sort of purpose. I wasn't working on any project. I was like, you know, I would go to the gym, my 1 hour workout, and then I would come home and I would scroll on my phone. I wasn't really doing a lot when it comes to like anything outside of, let's say, school. I didn't have any hobbies. I didn't really have a social life. And honestly, having hobbies, having side projects, having a side hustle, having a social life where you're actually getting out and you're living your life, where you're building some sort of skill, or even you picking up extra shifts at work, things like that, like you working a lot, that does allow you to not put on the pounds and put on the emotional baggage that sometimes you can have on yourself. You're getting busy in life. And listen, this takes a while because you might be in a certain situation in your life where maybe you don't have a side hobby or you don't have a passion or hobbies, this, that. I totally get it. But like, find something that is outside of appearance-based things, outside of dieting and focusing on always watching like dieting stuff, or, you know, spending your time doing things that require you to technically have a nicer body, let's say partying. Any time that I wasn't doing anything with school, I would actually spend a lot of time going to the clubs and partying, but that didn't actually help me because it just triggered me into wanting to have a nicer body because I was always spending time around people who cared about that. But in general, like I just was focusing on things that actually didn't get me further in life outside of appearance. So, you know, I worked on my finances. I worked on building skills for myself. I worked on my mental health. I got off my phone. I stopped spending so much time scrolling and dreaming and waiting and wondering, and I started taking action. You guys know on this channel, I'm so about taking action if you want your dream life, whether it's the body, the money, the career, the relationship, whatever it is. We can have the mood board. We can think about how we want to be. We can like get super excited, but at the end of the day, what are we doing every single day to take action? And action in your life not only is going to get you to where you want, but also when it comes to the body, yes, you're going to see that. So just get busy with life, please. I promise it will really help you, not only your physical body, but your mental health. Another thing that I did was getting active with my friends when I would go out. So, you know, not only, and this could even be in terms of relationship, not only spending time with people socializing, whether that be partying and drinking and doing things at night, which end up messing up my sleep anyways, which doesn't usually help when it comes to recovery and sleep. And this is not to mean that you can't do drinking and going out and partying and stuff. I do a good party here and there. It's not a big deal, but I tended to find myself always spending time with friends doing that kind of stuff, or only going to dinners. And even when it came to like relationships, only spending time movie nights or like dinner dates, which is super cute and fun. But like, now I like to go out with my friends and spend time with them just doing a hawk or walk. Like, if we're gonna talk, let's go for a walk. Let's do something that's like activity based. Tomorrow I'm going to a spin class with my friend and that's how we're hanging out. Like, doing more active things can totally help with the body and the quality of your life. Now, another thing that I like to do is to listen to my body and when it's saying no in relation to hanging out with my friends. So I'll give you kind of an example. There's just gonna be times where, let's say you're socializing and you gotta go out and you gotta have dinner, or your friend wants to go get ice cream or coffee or this, that. I used to never listen to my body, and sometimes my body doesn't want the ice cream. I don't want the bubble tea. I'm not interested in going for dinner right now. But this doesn't mean that I can't go out with my friend and spend that time. I just have to say, hey, I'm super down to like go walk to get ice cream right now, but like I'm not really craving it. And I feel like this helps a lot when you're not on a strict diet, because you can say no because you know you can go get that ice cream whenever you want, but like right now you're not interested. So like that kind of helps when you're not doing anything strict. But listening to your body, are you hungry? Do you want to go to dinner? Are you craving this sugary thing that your friend wants? Do you even want that? And if you don't, use your words, say no. This is not about like rejecting people. This is not even about not having a social life, but you don't always have to indulge. And I even think about the times where I had like such a smaller appetite this time last year than I do now because of like weight training and stuff. Like I have such a bigger appetite now, but I didn't back then. And I remember I would go with my friends and we would go to dinner, and everyone would usually always get entrees, but I knew that I just was never hungry enough to like have a huge steak or like have a huge meal. So I would always tend to order off of like the appetizer menu. And my friends would always be like, oh, but you're gonna get like a main and stuff, right? And like whatever, because it's a normal thing. It wasn't about them pushing me. It was just like, all right, so like, are we gonna get appetizers? Are we gonna get mains? But I was real with myself, guys, I can literally only eat a freaking appetizer. Like I am not, like I get full really easily, so that's all I'm gonna do. And I would always say that. But you know, sometimes I would keep up with the Joneses and okay, well, everyone's getting an appetizer and everyone's getting a drink and everyone's getting this. It doesn't work like that with me. I tend to not even like to drink anything while I'm eating. I like to have water and I like to have one meal. Now I have a bigger appetite so I can like eat a little bit more, but just simple things like that, checking in with yourself. You don't always have to eat and move the same way everyone else does. And that really has helped me be able to maintain what I need for my body and my health. And the last thing that I think is really important that's helped me over the years to maintain my body is nervous system regulation. Your nervous system plays a huge part in absolutely everything you do. How you think, how you view the world, how you eat, how you sleep, how you move your body, everything. And what I'm really meaning here is reducing overall stress in your life, because if you are stressed, you're gonna be at a higher risk to want to indulge in the food. You're gonna have no energy to think about cooking a good meal for yourself. If you're stressed, you're not gonna wanna go out in life and you're not gonna pursue your passions or your careers or your goals. You're gonna be in your head. And then when you're in your head and you're not going out in life, what tends to happen? You tend to not move your body enough. You tend to not be motivated to move your body. And of course, when you're not moving your body and you're eating a lot, of course, you're not gonna feel good. Your body might not be in the best shape when you're doing this. So thinking about the stressors, the biggest stressors that you have in your life, and really focusing on that outside of the appearance, outside of the diet. Because at the end of the day, if you are very, very burnt out when it comes to work and you're really stressed, or you're in this really toxic relationship in your life, or you feel like very lost, if you're not gonna address those things, then yes, you can eat salads all day, or yes, you can go to the gym, but most likely you're just gonna burn yourself out more. And what your body actually needs you to do is slow down and rest, nourish your body, but also address the stressors in your life. I lived in a very, very stressful environment when my mom was going through her personal life issues, along with losing my dad and being financially stressed. And I was focusing on dieting and working out, which it wasn't necessarily the wrong thing to do, but I was actually stressing myself out more because I really wanted that body. But really what I needed to do was work on my environment, work on supporting my mental health, working on slowing down and being there for myself and doing what I needed to do, talk to my friends, all that kind of stuff first, and just go back to the basics of eating and moving my body when I could, and stop stressing myself out. And honestly, once I did that, body changed, mindset changed, life changed, and I was able to then, you know, incorporate more of the supplementation and doing a little bit more at the gym and having more of a routine because I was not under so much stress. Okay, so those are the main things that I live by. I know that was a lot of information, and honestly, if you are not where I'm at right now, think about anything that I said in this video. There's probably gonna be one or two things that popped out to you. Dive into it more, learn more about that, be curious in your own life. These are things that I have really curated over many years of healing. And it's crazy because I never thought that I could get to a place where I was able to maintain a very healthy, a very strong body and be happy in my body without focusing on food, counting calories, spending so much time in the gym, being consumed by this lifestyle. I never thought that I could do that, but when I did that healing journey and I addressed the root cause of a lot of things, and I kind of like let go of all of these things that I learned when I was 16 years old about dieting and health, oh my God, everything changed for me. And I am no longer consumed by food. I am no longer consumed by my inner child that wants to go to these emotional coping mechanisms. I am no longer obsessing over the meals that I'm eating when I go to dinner with my friends or worrying about if I'm gonna be skinny for summer. I am no longer in that mindset. And if you are in that mindset right now, I know sometimes it actually feels like you have no idea if and when that will ever change. At least that was like that for me. I used to always hear people's stories about how they healed their relationship with food or how they are like healthy without doing all of these crazy things that I was doing. I never understood how it is that they were able to do that. But once I actually addressed my mental health, that's when I was able to kind of like see the light. But just know that there is another side of wherever you're at right now, and know it's a process. Understand it's a process and you don't have to be perfect. Love yourself through the process. You don't have to be perfect. You're allowed to still want to care about what your body like looks like. There are gonna be, in my personal opinion, focuses that you have when it comes to fitness and eating. Like I said, like I focus on eating high protein. I focus on, like let me not have so much sugar. I don't think that there's a life in this day and age where you can just like eat whatever you want and not have any intention. It's just about intention, right? And what is the motivation behind this intention that matters. So with that said, my book will be available down below for pre-order. You get a free journal guide if you get it pre-ordered. Please let me know what you loved most about this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.